I was kind of curious to ask you, as I kind of said, like being like a late bloomer, and this is kind of a question I'm putting you on the spot, so I apologize for that. But is there anything that kind of comes to mind for you in terms of like advice or suggestions or recommendations for someone who's maybe a little bit less experienced and wanting to like explore and do more in
You
that
mean
realm?
sexually?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always really useful to think about and become aware of what works for you sexually, both in terms of actual touch and in terms of the mental side of things, whether that be kink or fantasies or certain types of partners that you're thinking about. I think that a lot of times when people get into a sexual relationship for the first time, they try to make it a lot about like what they think that they should be doing or like what they think that their partner is expecting them to do. And I think that it's really much more useful if you can bring to the table like some information that your partner might find helpful in terms of having good sex with you. I also think there's lots of great books and resources out there in terms of like sexual technique and that kind of thing, as well as like erotica. But I also think it's important to know that when you actually start doing these things, like they are just different from what you thought that they were going to be typically. I think a lot of people expect that when they like have sex for the first time or like explore their kink for the first time or whatever, that it's going to be somehow like really magical and it's just going to be perfect right off the bat, because this is kind of what we see in like porn or erotica. And then people are really disappointed and like maybe even feel broken when they try it and it's like not quite how they thought it would be. And like this happened to me. Like I was a sex nerd my entire youth, and then still like when I had straight sex, quote unquote, for the first time, I was like, there were no fireworks. Like it was like, didn't really feel like that much. I don't know. I feel broken. I feel weird, even though like I totally knew that that's like a normal thing for a lot of people. But you always like there, I feel like, I feel like I've had a tendency to be like, but I'm not going to be like that. Like I'm going to be different. And then I like get so disappointed when I'm not. But yeah, just like staying open, not having too many expectations, but like having some knowledge to work with. I think that's my main advice.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I know a big thing for myself was learning that I'm on the demisexual spectrum, because that
Me
all
too.
makes it makes a big difference, and can be a bit of an obstacle sometimes. But then when you can actually get into a situation where the connection is really good, like there's nothing like that in my limited experience.
Yeah, and I've been so much more gentle with myself since arriving at that label, because I think I used to really judge myself for like, well, other people seem to have attractions much more quickly or easily or whatever, and I don't have that. Like, what's wrong with me? Is it because I'm traumatized or whatever? And it's like, no, it's a perfectly valid style of attraction, and knowing that it's like a real thing with a real word just felt very validating for me.